Peace, peace, love everybody. Let me see if I can make sure everything is set up properly and the sound and such. Hey, Faye, Lito, can you give Fabian some headphones, please? Thanks. Peace, y'all. Thanks for tuning in for What in the Family? Me versus Us. Today's video is really geared towards people who already have some type of blended family situation, especially if you don't have a blended family. Feel free to tune in. You're going to get lots of jewels that can still be useful to a nuclear family set the way traditionally we all pretty much have been grown to take in as the ultimate goal. You know, we all have goals. We all grow up with a vision of how we want things to be. So I just take a few minutes, make sure that I'm clear about that. So this in no way is about saying that blended families is the way to go or the best way to go or better than or anything like that. I just wanted to just begin this journey with you guys talking about just dealing with reality, and we started with our shadow work, and a lot of things that get us pretty triggered would be around our intimate relationships and family structure, whether it's how you deal with your parents, how you deal with your children, how you deal with your spouse, your mate. And then some of you might be way ahead of the game by being here early, where you may not have a mate, you may not have any children, whatever the case may be. I've got something in my eye, and since we're live, y'all just hold on. Just a minute. Figure this one out. I might be thirsty. I might need some water. Maybe that's what I need. But cheers. Cheers to the weekend. I say we're going to chill. I got y'all in one of my hideaway places where I can really relax and read a couple of good books. So, here we go. So, once upon a time, a little girl was born, and she just loved her mom, and then her dad went, oh, y'all can't hear me? So I can leave people like, you, Bernard, you my people, yo. You always be looking out for me. You can't hear anything I'm saying, though, so hold on. Why is that? Can you hear me now? This is gonna. Oh. These things. Can you get out of my frame? Golly. These guys. The Superstar Squad. Alright. Now let me start over since y'all couldn't hear nothing I was talking about. Welcome again to What in the Family? Me versus Us. The reason why we're going into this, one, hold on, disclaimer. This video about blended families, it's not just about blended families. And when I talk about blended families, it's probably going to be immediately useful for those of you who may already have a blended family. So let's start with defining what is a blended family, okay? So, a blended family consists of whatever formula of parents, so it could be mother, father, right? The mother can have children before this relationship, during this relationship, after the relationship, and got back to it,
or the father. Y'all like how I did that, right? I thought I was gonna say the dad first, because the dad always got all these extra marital or extra children. No, no, no. Scratch that. Scratch that. Okay? So many different formulas exist. So, blended families just means that outside of the two people who exist in relationship, the children usually, right? The children, according to what we're talking about, the children that are within this relationship can also belong to additional parents that are not in the immediate household. Okay? Um, this is like, I guess, a trending topic at this point because we have red table talk, but here we are. We're not in Hollywood. We're doing our best, and there are still some issues that it's cool for me to be able to talk on because I grew up in a blended family. I have a blended family, and I advocate for peace within blended families because at the end of the day, most of the chaos doesn't occur because the children don't mess with each other. They occur because, adults have a vision for what they've wanted, um, and it doesn't always turn out that way. All right. So, what's the goal? This video is for you guys. If you don't have that, stay tuned. Still so many tools because our egos are the biggest monster in the room. Our egos and our attachments to what was, what isn't, what you wish would be. Okay? So let's start with what we all tend to look forward to. Most people do not wake up to their adolescent lives of planning what their family will look like to say, when I get older, I'm going to have two baby mothers and three stepchildren. Most people don't start their vision off that way, okay? And one of the realities is that we continue to grow. Whether we like it or not, every time we have an experience, it draws something into our experience, our reality, our being, who we are, and we grow. We grow in a way that we don't necessarily plan for. You get what I'm saying? We don't always grow like, okay, I want to grow muscles, I go to the gym, I lift weights. No. Like, we get into a relationship and we're like, oh, this feels amazing. I can't wait to build with this person. And then shit happens, for lack of better words, right? Like, stuff happens. Um, and through that, if we stick through some of those things, we get to analyze which part of ourselves show up. Our hurt self shows up usually because it's disappointing. And so we go from this clean slate of expectation and wonderful goal oriented mindset. I'm so positive and optimistic about the things that myself and my partner are going to create. So what in the monkey wrench just happened to that vision? And so it kind of gets tossed out immediately, and it's a lot of chaos, right? Um, but what happens when people actually spend some time in that and get to analyze like what's going on? So let's just kind of fast forward and look at a couple together. This is a scenario we'll look at. A couple is together, they're doing their thing, they have children together, right? And as they're doing their thing, maybe someone is not really feeling the relationship anymore and they want to move on. A lot of people get stuck right there, especially if there are children involved. And I use the word stuck because, oh, you took your message away? Okay. A lot of people will get stuck right there because I was going to get to it, Rosie. There's a lot of pressure involved. And most people think that immediately the children are the pressure, but it tends to be the people outside of the relationship that create a lot of pressure around what two adults are going to do with their relationship because they have children. When in reality, we look at a structure where two adults who are the leaders of a household, if they themselves are creating, oh, no problem, Rosie, what the two adults who are leading the household are facing is a culmination of different issues and challenges. And while that's happening, lots of people don't pay attention to it, but the children are paying attention. So at some point, I remember being a child where I could hear constant chaos at some point, and I thought to myself, like, this is a good idea that these two people aren't together. And so now that I'm a teacher in communities where families tend to be blended for many different reasons, the children themselves are saying the same thing. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that my mom and dad are not together anymore. Or they're like, oh my gosh, I think that if it weren't for my mom's new boyfriend, like, she would just be a mess. Or my dad's girlfriend, my dad's new wife is really, really nice, and I'm so glad that, I also have a new sister, and we're the same age, and we get to hang out. So the way they think about things, if they have not been indoctrinated with the you're mine, you're my squad, we don't mess with that other family, they're messing up our family because now we're not the perfect magazine mom, dad, children scenario because mom or dad decided to go do something totally selfish, right? If they have not been indoctrinated with that, they actually get a chance to express the benefits of having peace at home. And so, like I said earlier, although I don't know if you were able to hear me, blended families to me is not necessarily the peaceful route because we're talking about additional people and feelings, emotions, human beings, attitudes, mixings of cultures, likes, dislikes. I mean, just think about the holidays, right? Whose house is more important to go to for Christmas versus birthdays versus New Year's party? Like, no, 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 no. Not saying that this is like, oh, everyone now should just be accepting that this is a way of life. What I'm saying is that if this is already your situation, you are now in a place to discover through your curiosity ways in which to create harmony. Okay? Your team now consists of other people that were not necessarily part of the initial contract. And so the only way for everyone to win is if the whole family is on the same page. And I know that it may sound very optimistic and naive to say, okay, I can get everybody on the same page. When we know damn well, I know well, so I'm not even going to try to act like it's easy. Everybody's on the same page. Yeah, let's do it. All right, new wife who's now with my ex-husband, and the two husbands now are like y'all buddies. Like, no, we're not saying that that's just the immediate case. But through your curiosity, you can begin to pull apart what are some of the most important pillars to success when it comes to building a family. And understanding that in family structure, what is the purpose? What is the purpose of your family? Is your family here just to serve your immediate living lifestyle? Like, I wake up, I have people to feed, I feel loved, I go to work, we do a couple of family things together, and that's it? Or does your family belong to a greater community and serve in some way their gifts? And when things are going on with your family, the community suffers. When certain things are going well with your community, the community flourishes. You have to, one, know what is the vision for your family. Is it just to be a neighborhood family that gets along with everyone who's within this certain circumference? Or is your family looking to build something more like an empire? An empire that is then going to influence more than an immediate community, but influence people in your state, influence people in your country, influence people globally, influence people culturally, influence people financially, influence people spiritually. Like, there are so many different ways that a family can be productive if you can first start with what the vision is. Because when there becomes some type of chaos, the battle really becomes me versus us. Me, the individual, because you are an individual and you are important, and how you feel and what's going on within you is important. But the greater good is, how do you yourself as an individual fit into the vision for what the family has agreed on. And so this is the first level of curiosity. As you face one thing at a time, peace, Ivy, as you face one thing at a time, one challenge, one opportunity for growth. So rather than challenge, it's an opportunity for growth. As you face one opportunity for growth, you will ask yourself, one, this is me versus us. How can I address me first to understand where I am, to then address us as a whole? How can I show up for us as a whole? So if I'm speaking to leaders in this group, I know for sure, for a fact, my house of Chi is full of leaders, so I'm not going to question that. Our YouTube community is our grander, vast community, right? But as a leader, who cares that no one else is thinking like that yet? I say I'll take on the responsibility to teach or to share with people who have the privilege of being a part of my awesome family what the overall and overarching idea is and purpose is for our family, and what my responsibility is in order to show up for the us after I've already dealt with the me. I say that because if we start to move in a way where we ignore the me and we're constantly at the how can I serve us, 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 we're going to deal with the same things that overgivers deal with as people in a community. They tend to take care of everybody else and then they themselves fall apart. A lot of moms take on the multiple hats of like, oh, I gotta be mom, I gotta be business person, I gotta take care of the children, I gotta be a good wife, I gotta be like, it's too much. So if we don't handle the me first while we're looking to be a strong member of the us, that will never happen. All right? So I'm always going to say, deal with me, deal with yourself, say, what do I need, what's going on, and then you can tune into how you can serve your family. So, I don't know. Let's troubleshoot an opportunity for growth. If you yourself are part of a blended family, or you're considering it, and you have an issue right now, let's troubleshoot it. There's a couple of you on the feed. I don't know what your family situations are, right? Oh, thank you. This is a shirt designed by me. It's called I Am You Are, and I will have more available soon because I have more science about the symbology that's on there to give y'all. And I've had people have really great experiences wearing it. If you're an artist or you do a lot of downloading. My stepfather's family never. Wait. I want to read this. My stepfather's family never embraced us as their own. We always felt like outsiders and never welcome. It was sad and lonely because our blood family were thousands of miles away. Okay. Oh, where am I? Here we go. Word. All right. So, blended families, step parents, stepfathers, stepmothers. The first thing is, for those of you who are here, right? If you are going to step into, or you hold the title of a step parent, the first thing is that you need to recognize is that when you engage in a relationship with someone who already has children present, I'll get to that. I'll definitely will get into that. You already see that there are children present, right? These children are an extension of the person that you love. It would seem really simple, but here's a bit on the other side. Step parents who are not as well versed in how to, or they don't have support for moving into a relationship where there's already children present. As far as they know, in their mind, because they're not the immediate parent, one, they could be dealing with not wanting to be disrespectful or seen as being disrespectful to the actual parent that is already present, that exists biologically. And so some step parents might decide to take the distant route and kind of treat you like, not want to get too involved, which can be translated into, my step parent doesn't really care about me. I tell my son all the time, if we didn't care about you, speaking about myself and his stepfather, if we did not care about you, we wouldn't be talking to you, we wouldn't be bothering you about what it is that you need to do. Okay? And a lot of times adults may not comprehend their distance or their detachment is going to be received by a child who is kind of forced to be around you because their parent decided to be with you. Because you have to remember, a lot of parents don't ask their children first how do they even feel about having somebody else in their family, before they bring them in. Warm them up to the idea that, hey, there's going to be another person around. So the child is already forced to be in a space. The adult, because of how they feel about the other adult, is forced to be in a space in their mind around children that are not theirs. However, there needs to be a conversation about what is a step-parent's role. Because if the other parent is present, they may be even more detached out of what would be a respectful space, like that's not my territory. Or they may decide to step in and be a friend to the child, but that can cause some friction if then the child goes through something with the parent needs to penalize the child, but then the child goes to the step-parent like that's their homie, right? And then the step-parent and the biological parent are not on the same page, right? That's something else to look into. And nobody wants to be undermined by the other parent. Not both biological parents and for damn sure not step-parents. Because step-parents are stepping into something that they didn't start. And so that's more of a responsibility that, a lot of respect needs to be given. But a step-parent also needs support. And how do they show up for children that are not theirs respectfully and still be like an add-on, like not just come and look at the kids and don't engage or show any type of affection or care towards these other children. But then what happens when the step-parent creates their own children and now they have their children and then the other children? That whole other piece really gets confusing with the children when they're treated differently and they don't understand and no one's had a conversation. So how useful would it be to say, look, we're having a baby, and because I'm the biological parent for this child, I feel more comfortable in disciplining this child. I feel more comfortable in even being more physically close with this child because they're biologically my child. And I feel that it's automatic that I'm not necessarily going to cause any harm to them, and we have this trust because I was part of creating them. Whereas with a stepchild or children that exist already, I, as a step parent, don't want to parent you differently than how you're being parented already. I may not agree, and I'm trying to keep my opinion to my own self because I don't want to create a problem where, like, I stepped on the scene all late, and now I'm trying to be like the dictator. It gets exaggerated because people are being careful about these very minute differences in roles and connections to the children. And so if the children are old enough, I'd also implore you to include them in the conversations of what they feel, what they desire, and how they are actually digesting what's going on around them. Not just to just have conversations amongst the adults, but include the children because they have a lot to say if someone will show that they will listen. Okay? Let me see. Avi, you asked me if I'm going to speak about polyamory, polygamy, relationships. I am going to get into that, but I'm not going to get into it this in this video because it gets really touchy. I mean, even this itself is really touchy for people because they're in blended families just for the simple fact that somebody cheated. They're like, the hell, they cheated, that ain't my kid, I don't have nothing to do with shorty, and I don't want to deal with that. My partner created that drama, I don't want no smoke with that. I wash my hands of it. These are my children, and whatever he's doing, he's doing. Or these are my kids, and whatever she's doing, she's doing. And that's enough for just one video, because what I'm talking about is even in those situations, it doesn't help to have that be just the basis. Like, I just wash my hands of it. Now, there's an abuse involved, and you need to be like, these are my children, this is how I'm going to keep them safe, fine, right? But to just like, oh, because, once upon a time, me and you had a situation, and now you moved on, I got to be the asshole, that doesn't work. It doesn't work for you as an individual, it doesn't work for the children, and it's just retarded, because if you look at it, if you can have extra help and support, especially when it comes to co-parenting, you can get a lot more stuff done. Okay? Let me see. I'm having issues with my son because of the chaos and trauma endured due to the dysfunction. Oh, wait, you said something earlier. Okay. My family criticizes me because I am trying to make myself whole in order to heal self, then heal us. I was 2 when my parents divorced, 4 when my mom remarried, and 6 when I was brought to this country and taken away from the bloodline and homeland. I grew up in a toxic household all because my mother didn't know how to do exactly what you just said. Alright. So, like, you'll see, like, with Rosie and with Maya, what you guys was just now pointing out. Like, Rosie, look at the age you were when these decisions were made. You said you were 2 when your parents got divorced, and then 4 when your mom got remarried, and 6 when you was brought to this country, right? I'll tell you right now, my daughter is 4 years old. She is very, very clear and opinionated about who she wants in her space, asking who's who, what's what, and what's the future going to hold. So, for example, Like, she's at an age where she's asking about other children. She's like, are you gonna have another baby? Um, Children are gonna ask you what they want to ask you, right? And then we're like, oh, well, how do I answer this? Hmm. Well, yeah, I do want to have more children. And in her mind, then I have to wonder, like, what does she think about that? Does she have an idea of what that looks like? Does she have a plan? And I might sound crazy, but these are things that need to be discussed. Because once, let's say, for example, I decide, yeah, I'm going to have more children. If my children are not going to be with the person that maybe in her mind she's already agreed, like, this is where the children will come from, and I don't even know fully what her concept is of how children get here, right? How is she going to process that here's a new person and they may be from an addition to our family? Wouldn't it be nice if I'm doing all of this work, have a conversation with her, have a conversation with my son who is 14 and totally knows where babies come from and all of that, and is going to have his own opinion of how things go? Like, you were two, understand your parents separated, 4, your mom got remarried, but we're looking at creating a better future, right? When your mom decided to get remarried, it would have been nice if there was some type of, like, warm up. How do you feel about this person? And then when you're leaving the country, that's a whole nother thing. And for those of us who are born outside of the United States, like myself, we have a lot of different things that occur. Like, there's children that are brought here and they don't even grow up with their biological parents until they're like teenagers, and then their parents still have all the reign over whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing. It's just like, oh, hold up, homie, I don't even know you. Oh, you're my mom. Okay. Like I said, these topics, what in the family, me versus us, are going to take us way deep. And so we're going to start breaking them up into certain, like, little clusters so we can get to that. Alright? And Maya, yeah, if the parents would have taken the time to, hey, kids, how you feeling about this? Anything weird going on? You feel anything in your spirit? You probably wouldn't be, like, so anxious, because the children deal with a lot of anxiety because they see already there's some dysfunction, and they're like the last people that really want to get in the middle of it and go, oh, maybe it's my fault. So they kind of like withdraw because we're seeking peace and joy. So there's a bunch of dysfunction. They like, let me withdraw. Let me try to get invisible. Let's see here. Should we get into our inner child and so personal shadow work if we have trauma in our childhood because of abuse, dysfunction, family settings? How best to heal from the past and properly move on, rewire mental mechanisms so we aren't reacting from the basis of abuse and trauma. Alright, so it's a long road. It's a long road to recovery. 12 steps. No. When we're doing healing work, to go as far back as the first time when you came face to face with a situation that was out of harmony with your being, that's where you go. And so most of the trauma occurs early on in life, and so then we're dealing with the inner child. Okay? The inner child can also give us access to the clean slate. And so, while there's a lot of inner child work, it's more so to bring yourself back to that place where you did not question who you were. You just were. You weren't trying to be anything but yourself. When you woke up in the morning, you had no idea that someone had to pay bills. What you put on was really immediately about how it felt on your skin. Maybe your favorite color. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't have as many social hang-ups. So when you can tap into that person, it's funny how your inner child is the one that can save you. Because at this point, as an adult, you've got so much going on, distraction-wise, as to, like, you kind of forgot, like, who am I? Not my job, not my title, not my relationship role, not mom, dad, sister, brother, but who am I? Not even as a name. And so while you're doing healing work, if you are aware of some of things of when they first began, that's the best thing to begin there. Yes, as an adult, let's say for example, as an adult, I have a huge issue with jealousy. Like, and jealousy basically means that you see that somebody else is getting something that you feel belongs to you or you're deserving of. So jealousy goes hand in hand with entitlement, right? Whatever it is that somebody else is experiencing, you feel entitled to that experience and are pissed off as hell because it's not happening to you. So first you gotta recognize that whatever it is that's happening there, like, you honestly believe like that's for you. And if it is for you, then the first question is, well, why not you? And if why not you, who's gonna create it but you? And then it's not about them who's getting it. It's about you and you not putting forth the work or the effort to do what you need to do to get it for yourself, to experience it for yourself, so you're not so busy watching somebody else. Right? Let me see. We got some new comments here. I have a tendency towards feeling negativity towards my mom because she seems to desire an incredibly healthy relationship with me, but is constantly disrespectful and disregards my boundaries. Sounds like you have an overbearing mother. So, like, she wants to connect with you, and you are, Kira, you're looking at the way that your mom interacts with you as being disrespectful and overbearing, disregard for your boundaries. So let's examine, like, okay, first I'm going to say this. There's a lot in that, right? We're talking about blended families. So I want to stick to blended families. So as far as if this is your stepmom, then I want to talk about this here. If this is your biological mom, this is something different, okay? This is something different. So clarify that for me. It's important to heal that because if you don't now, you become an adult that mimics it in all your now relationships. What are some good techniques to uncover or muddle our memories to get as far back as possible? Yo, Avi, I know you already know that meditation is a really good way to go back in time with that. One of the ways to really imprint on your mind that you're going to go back to unwire some things, this is going to be a big jewel I'm about to drop for y'all. Y'all ready? Y'all listening? Y'all got your notebooks? Do you have your notebooks? Yo, line up your pictures from when you was a kid, yo. If you can pinpoint the age that you may have experienced something, find pictures around that time period of yourself. Blow that joint up and let that be the mandala you're going to meditate on. Because that's why in some cultures they don't allow you to take pictures of them because they feel like you snatch a piece of their soul. But when you're looking at those pictures of yourself, allow yourself to go deeper into your meditation with the goal of having a conversation with yourself. Then, memory shape that memory. If you're going to meditation and standing up as the same person we started, then this is a technique. Yeah. What Reynard is talking about, and I'm privy to the fact that you're reading one of my favorite books. He's talking about Dr. Joe Dispenza gives an exercise where you do a meditation, and before you stand up from the chair, you're going to agree that you are the person that you meditated on when you stand up. I suggest doing that for rewiring your brain. Peace, bro. What's up there, Owl Crown Tarot? I suggest that in doing that work of rewiring your brain as an adult, that you become who you are in your meditation before you stand up. Absolutely. But when you're doing inner child journey work, I want you to sit in that space, create a safe space, because it can get very, very, very emotional. Especially if you experience some deep down trauma that has been suppressed and you see it for the first time. I'm telling you, it can get very deep. Because things that happened to you as a child where you had no reference for it, it was normal. It wasn't until you got older and you're having some type of constant replay of this behavior that's triggering some type of anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, or just excess, like you excessively drinking all of a sudden, excessively eating all of a sudden, hoarding mad shit in your house all of a sudden. Something triggers that, and you just like, what triggers it? Maybe it's like someone touches you a certain kind of way when you're laying down to make love to them. Maybe someone yelled at you and startled you and it just set you off. But you still don't know why until you start to do the work. And when you're going into meditation, you may see for the first time when something that you thought the whole time was regular was inappropriate. And you may see for the first time someone that you absolutely love in a whole different light. And that in itself can be very, very traumatic because you have to revisit the trauma. You have to actually relive the trauma in order to dismantle it. And some people will say, okay, once you've touched that memory, you know what it is, you have a choice. You can go and approach the person who was there, who did it, or you can deal with it yourself, okay? And so when we're talking about blended families right now, which I want to continue to stay on that, we're talking about blended families, we want to look at how are we being respectful of the fact that life changes, we grow, we make different choices, and out of it can come greatness. If you have a blended family, that means there's more people in the family now than you started with. That means there's more people to carry on the name of the family, not just your last name, but of the family they belong to, than there were than you started with. So how do you get in the game and shape it for a greater purpose? There goes the me versus us. Alright? So, hopefully you got enough game from this to start with. Maybe tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, over this week, if you have a blended family, you have a conversation with the children. Just, create a game night, real comfy, have some foods they like, chilling. Kind of ask them how they feel. Hey, how do you feel about your stepmom? Do you feel loved? Do you feel like we listen to you? How do you feel about daddy dating somebody new? What do you think about that? You plan on expanding your family? Talk about that. What do you think about if I had another child? That'd be a great dope exercise to start with, including like if you have a parents coming around, you can spend this week really looking at what's your issue. What the hell is your problem anyway? Okay? Because, I mean, if they want to see their children, then what does that have to do with you? Outside of there being some cause for caution when it comes to abuse or some type of violence. Alright? So if you have any other questions or you do want to do some one-on-one work with me, I do consultations. You can inbox me at Chi Vital on Facebook. That's CHIVITAL, and we can discuss what my rates are. But I'm here for it, and we will continue to dig into what in the family, me versus us. Peace, love, and bliss to you all. Love y'all. Later.